capturing attention all over the world for his unique talents. George started his musical journey early in life by learning to play the cello at the age of 8 and gained worldwide attention in 2012 after he posted a video of himself playing guitar covering the Goo Goo Dolls song Iris. Born without arms, George plays music from his heart using his feet. George's story went viral and he received media coverage from all over the world. Outside of music, George has a powerful message to share. Because he has overcome so many challenges in his own life, he believes that every individual has a purpose and absolutely anything is possible. People are surprised by his life story, including his early struggle against death in a grim Romanian orphanage and the dire circumstances that led to an urgent plea for a family to quickly consider adopting him. That adoption happened when George was 18 months old, and today, George has 12 siblings. 9 of his brothers and sisters are also adopted, and they represent 6 different countries. As a newborn, your biological parents in Romania gave you up for adoption due to a lot of different factors, whether it have been special needs, poverty, and so forth. And they put you in an orphanage where, you had a number, or not a number, but, some time of difficult years, including malnourishment, possible death, and you really struggled. What did your, I guess, adopted parents learn from this experience, and what was it like to be adopted into a family? Clearly, you were only 18 months at the time, but what was that process like, as you've been told?
Yeah, I think with the whole story and growing up, knowing where I come from, and then where I am today, looking back to Romania and looking back to, I was born in this small village in Romania. I was born without arms, unexpectedly, and for whatever reason, for one reason or two reasons, like you said, poverty, just situation, whatever it was, being put in this orphanage. And not only that, but just also being abandoned and neglected by the nurses in the orphanage, whose job it is to take care of all the kids. Mm-hmm. It really makes me just really thankful for the fact that I was adopted, but also it brings to me this idea of my story, that I have a story, you have a story, we all have stories, and I think, even in that orphanage, my story was being written. And, my parents who adopted me, sometimes it's hard to say, oh man, it's just a coincidence. I tend to be a believer that everything happens for a reason, that everything is put in place for a purpose. And I really think that my parents saw me and saw my little newsletter, saw my picture in an adoption news site, and they saw what everyone else in Romania didn't see. You see, because everyone in Romania, they just saw this child with no arms. What a shame, what a waste, right? That's what they're thinking. But my parents, they have this different way of thought. They have this different belief that every child, every person on this planet is capable of something. It has a purpose. It has meaning for their life. And I think that's what drove my parents to adopt me, seeing me in this place with nothing, with no hope, but knowing that just me being alive is enough. And so they made that decision to rescue me and bring me into this family, and that decision led to a multitude of events that led me to where I am today. So I think looking back on the whole thing, I really am thankful for all of it.
Yeah. As you should be. It's a quite remarkable story, and it's unfortunate that in other countries or places such as Romania and even China, people, unfortunately look down, upon people that are either boys, I'm talking about, or girls, girls, in China, or obviously in Romania, disabilities or whatever the case may be. But it's a gift and a blessing for people, such as your parents, or adopted parents. In the U.S., people take it as an opportunity to really, give X, Y, and Z, person a life, and, a meaningful life, versus one that's, basically in an orphanage. And
it really is special. And being one of many children adopted, I think it's just such an example of what a difference just love can make. What a difference that my parents adopting me and giving me everything that I wasn't getting in Romania, and how it just flourished and blossomed. And it's crazy. I wish I had pictures, but I've seen pictures of when I was first adopted, what I looked like, and malnourishment and pale and sick and gross, and then a year later, just a year of what love can do to a child. I'm happy and smiling, and have hair, and I'm chubby, and it's just such a difference. And it's really,
and you're a handsome guy, so that adds to it as well.
Oh, great.
But anyways, it's wonderful, your adopted experience. Years later, you actually made a trip back to Romania to see your birth parents. What was that visit like, and what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, doing that whole trip of going back to Romania was an incredible experience. I mean, I always wanted to do that, and I always was curious about my family, and always hoped to reconnect. And it's a long story of how that all happened, but it's just one of those things where I couldn't have made it. I couldn't have made a story about it. It just, things just fell into place almost miraculously. But I was able to go back to Romania, and that experience was full of so many different emotions. And one thing that I can clearly remember, and this was probably 8 or so years ago now. I'm 26 now, and I was 18 when I first went back. I met my family, and it was emotional. Everyone was crying and hugging, and they're speaking their language and all this stuff. But I kept hearing both my biological parents just say I could tell they were saying one thing over and over and over and over again. And eventually I asked the translator, I was like, well, they keep telling me something. What are they telling me? And the translator said, please don't hate us. Please don't hate us. Please don't hate us. And I think, growing up and being adopted, you always kind of wonder, like, what was the reason? Like, why did they give up on me? And like, on one foot, I'm thankful because, I'm in this family now, and I grew up to play music and yada, yada, yada. But on the other hand, on the other foot, I was abandoned, and they did. Their only son let me go. So I always wondered why. Mm-hmm. And I think being in that place and meeting them again and talking with them and going through all that really helped me with that closure and be at peace with that decision, and kind of realizing, once and for all, like, man, they really did make the right decision. So I'm thankful that they let me go, because of the opportunity that I had growing up the way that I did, rather than growing up in this small village.
Right. And your quality of life would not be as good. And I think in a lot of ways, your birth parents were smart, as crazy as that may sound, to give you up so your quality of life would be a lot better. And I feel like those birth parents that are quote unquote smart do that. Obviously, there's instances where, people still want to keep their child, and I think that's great and everything, but, their quality of life is not as great. And it's unfortunate to, that child or person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So some of your, like we talked about, some of your siblings have their own differences. One has also no arms and so forth. What has it been like, or was it like growing up with siblings specifically that were also different? Did you feel a sense of inclusion, a sense of belonging, not feeling like alone? And then what have you learned from them, as to like how you've become the man that you are today?
Yeah, growing up with my family, so my parents have three biological children.
Okay, it's three.
Yeah, no, you're good. So three who are older than me, and then 9 more other than me who are adopted. So 13 kids total. And yeah, growing up with my family, so I was the first adopted child. So I was just number 4 in their family, and then 9 more after me. So on top of what you'd expect, just a crazy household and a bunch of kids running around, and a lot of dogs in the house too.
I don't know how your parents do it. And your dad works full time, he said.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know if it's full time, but he works. I'm like thinking, how do you have 13 kids? Obviously like you and others are obviously older, but like how old's your youngest? I mean, how old's your youngest sibling?
The youngest right now is 10.
That's young.
Yeah.
So anyways, no, it's amazing, but I'm like, oh my goodness, your dad's a man of all trades. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. So obviously it was just a unique family. We were always different from everybody else. We didn't go out much. I mean, we didn't go out to eat much, but like anytime we did go out to eat, no other family in the restaurant is like us. But I think one thing that was cool, especially for me, and I wonder if my other siblings would say this too, but growing up where we had 6 kids in the family, and then all of a sudden one day my parents were like, "Oh, we're gonna adopt this child from this country." That just became like a normal thing because there were so many kids that ended up being adopted. So kind of hearing and knowing that I'm gonna have a new brother or sister through adoption just became like a normal thing. Where there was never any like awkward feelings or weird feelings like, wait, you're not my brother, you don't look like me, you're not my brother, you're not my sister. No, they are, because they're being adopted into my family. So I think for me, especially who I am today, really striving to be just open and loving and just true to everyone around me, because I truly do see other people as my brothers, as my sisters, just as just a person with worth and who deserves respect and who has a purpose. And I think, growing up with my family and seeing my parents live that out really helped me to try to live that out myself and with everyone else around me, no matter how different they are to me. So yeah, I think that's one huge lesson that I kind of learned from my whole life.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And now as a family as a whole, what do you think has been the most significant attribute or value that you have learned?
I think one of the most interesting things that I've learned, it doesn't take very long. I guess when you're in a family that just loves each other and that we're just genuine and we're just ourselves, and it doesn't take very long for a new member of the family to just mesh, to just join in and just be a part of the family. There's not usually there's never really like an odd man out in the family. No one's really left out. Especially when they're first adopted, they just become part of the family. That's just how it always was. So I think that's definitely one big thing that I remember and noticed, and how that's how we should treat everyone. Just if you see somebody, just go be a friend to them. Go love them because they deserve that.
I'm with you. Amen to that. No, for sure. All right, so now we're going to get into daily life and, clearly using your feet because you have no arms to navigate life and so forth. So recently you showed how you on Facebook how you put on a mask for safety and obviously with COVID and everything using your feet. But can you tell us generally or give just an overview of how do you use your feet to manage your daily life routines and activities and to be quote unquote as independent as you can?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to using my feet and kind of overcoming the challenge of not having arms and that physical challenge, that takes me all the way back from birth, all the way back to birth and being a toddler. And, I just like every other kid kind of learns the world around them, so did I. So, yeah, I mean, pretty much everything that everybody does, I do too. I just do it with my feet. I really consider my feet my hands, and the way they work and the way they move are just different and kind of like they're like super feet, honestly. And so doing everything from getting changed in the morning and brushing my teeth and making food and making coffee. I do it all, and I do live on my own and just have a normal house and just do everything my own way. And yeah, there are some things where it is just easier to find a kind of a way around. Like most of my utensils and things I use in the kitchen are in the bottom drawers rather than the top drawers.
Right.
Stuff like that. Just little things. I'm like, oh, this would be easier if I just kind of moved this here or did this here. But I'm a firm believer that any challenge that comes my way or your way or all of our ways, sometimes we just got to think outside the box. And I've learned too, just from life experience, that it's okay to fail, that it's okay to mess up, because then you just know, okay, well, that's not going to work, so let me try it this way, and eventually you'll figure it out. You just gotta remain calm and patient when you're failing, because trust me, I've messed up so many times.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, absolutely. And I think failure, unfortunately, does run in those that have disabilities. And, and I think the message there is it's okay to fail. And, give or take, you will learn to succeed and overcome that failure. So in terms of like objects, so like obviously a spoon or any type of utensil is thin. Obviously a guitar is thicker, using a shampoo bottle. How do you navigate like the different textures and, the different, I guess, widths of like objects or, obviously clothing or whatever it may be, because your toes clearly can only take so much.
Yeah, there's not much of a span with my toes.
Right, exactly.
As there would be with fingers. So that's a really good question. And I haven't really been asked that much, so I appreciate that. It's kind of like a new question that I've been asked. I think, certain things are different widths, and certain things are just, different. So, I'll intentionally get like the thin shampoo bottles so I can actually, hold on to it and then reach over my head and just kind of pour it on and scrub. But then like other things like a water bottle, I think like, okay, well, like a water bottle, how do you drink that? I'll kind of just drink it first without picking it up, just kind of biting it and drinking onto it. But then when it gets small enough, I can kind of crush it in a little bit.
Got it. Okay.
And then hold it and then just drink the rest of it like that. Or the old.
I know. I'm excited for you to like pick that up. And so then you use the straw. Yeah,
the old reliable straw. The straw is my best friend. Love straws. So I think that question and those kind of different areas where things are just different widths and different textures and all that. I think that's just another example of either if I have to find a workaround, then I'll find a workaround.
Right. And now do you use the same foot every time to do things, or do you switch on and off?
Yeah, I mean mostly. So I'm just like somebody would be right-handed or left-handed. I'm right-footed. So Yeah, so when I write, I'm writing with my right foot, or drawing, I draw with my right foot. Eating, I reach up to the table with my right foot and eat, where my brother does it with his left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you find that your feet get tired or fatigued like after a long day, or really kind of every day, where you have to rest, or it's kind of like hands where it doesn't it doesn't fatigue, quote unquote?
Yeah, my feet never really do fatigue. The only time they do is if I've been kind of lazy with my practicing music. If I'm having like a lazy week when I'm not practicing much, and then I have to play for a long time, then my toes can get tired, my leg can get tired because it's being held up like this to play. But other than that, my feet don't really get fatigued just doing normal things.
Right. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's better to be fatigued than not fatigued, because that probably would add another crossroad,
Definitely.
Do you drive, and you use a signal extender to help you with, obviously, putting on either the left signal or the right signal for turning and so forth.
Yeah.
What other types of adaptive equipment, whether it be in your car or at home, if any, do you use? And has any of this adaptive equipment been covered by insurance, or is it fully, out of pocket?
So the only adaptive equipment I can think of is the one in the car.
That's
And
good.
yeah, and that kind of just makes it easier. That's one of those, I don't really need it per se, but it just makes it easier because I do drive, with my left foot down on the pedals, and I reach up with my right foot and just drive with the wheel. So instead of having to reach my foot around the wheel to hit, left or right, the extender is just up here. So while I'm driving, I can just hit left or right with my foot. It just makes that a little easier. I do have a bidet.
What is it?
It's a bidet for the toilet.
Oh, okay. I have no idea what that is. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of like a little. I guess it's a little like it's a little private thing. But
Okay.
I guess if people know what it is, they know what it is. But that's one thing that has been like covered by. It wasn't insurance. It was like a adaptive organization here in Richmond that just wanted to reach out and have me as one of their cases where they could help and think of different ways. And that's the only thing I could think of was kind of like just something in the bathroom, like shower stuff. One thing I used to do a lot, especially in high school, I need to get another one. But for the shower, they have these things that are like foot washers. They like kind of rubberize. They like stick on the floor, and they have like just like scrub material on the top, so you can like wash your feet really good. And I used to have one of those, and I put it just on the wall instead, and kind of use that to wash myself and wash my hair and all that. I don't have that anymore, but that's just one thing that I used to do. And I mean, those are the only things I can think of really that are adaptive that I use or do use.
Yeah, well, you do have adaptive equipment. I mean, minimal that you do use. I actually interviewed, and I'm not sure if you know him, but Kyle Maynard. He has no limbs. They were all amputated. He has a specific disorder. But when I was speaking with him, and it's different than Nick. Because he still has some of his. He has basically his limbs, quote unquote, up till his elbows or his knees. So it's not like fully like kind of like Nick is. But anyways, I was talking with him about the use of prosthetics and so forth, and he did not want to use prosthetics. But I asked him about adaptive equipment, and he said he doesn't use adaptive equipment. And actually I kind of found that a little bit surprising in a good way. But I feel that, obviously in your situation, or, there's things in my situation. I use a spinner wheel when I drive, and technically I don't need it. There's some adaptive equipment that, usually helps and goes a long way for somebody who has
Right.
a disability. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that adaptive equipment is in society and helps us live able lives for those that have disabilities.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, I mean, because there's so many things out there, and you know what? There are probably a lot of things out there that I don't even know about. You know,
Of
honestly.
course, me either.
Yeah, and there are, and they do just make life so much easier. And there are some things that people without disabilities use that I use easier. So there's a thing. I promise this isn't any kind of like intentional promotion. I'm just thinking about it now. But there's a piece of equipment called click and carry.
Okay.
And it's like this plastic thing. I wish I had one around here, but it's like this plastic thing that you can just attach all your grocery bags to.
Oh, it's amazing.
And then you just hold that piece of equipment. So what I do is I'll put all my grocery bags on it, and then put the thing on my shoulder, and then just hold it on my shoulder, and now I have grocery bags on both sides. And it's even, and that's that wasn't made for someone like me, but it's been super helpful. And the lady who started the whole thing, she like saw a picture of me using it or something, and she absolutely loved it because she didn't think about somebody without arms and how that could help somebody without arms, but it did.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just goes to show there's so many things out there that we don't even know about. That's cool.
Yeah, no, and adaptive equipment is cool. I mean, my mom, it's funny because, I mean, do you know what a spinner wheel is?
Remind me.
Okay, so I have it on my license. I don't need to use it. I mean, because I can turn, but it basically makes making turns easier using just like one hand, and it just goes on the knob of your steering wheel, and it is cool because it does make turns and so forth easier. Again, yeah. I don't need it, and I often will not use it, even though it's on my steering wheel. And sometimes I will drive without it if I'm in a rental car or something, because it's not super,
right.
And no one really looks at it. But anyways, the whole thing is that when my mom's in the car, and like obviously she's, for instance, if she's driving my car, or she has one in her car as well, if I'm driving her car, so forth, whatever, she'll actually say, well, Allie, this is like really cool. Like, I like the spinner wheel. Like, I don't know why you use it, not as much. Or like, for instance, I am jury duty exempt for my learning issues in New York City. And people are like, oh, you're so lucky. So in some ways, having a disability is an advantage in a lot of ways, obviously give or take. But yeah. It's interesting to see the other side be like, oh, like I wish I had that, or you're so lucky, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. It really is interesting to see people's reactions, and yeah, people say, oh, you're lucky that you get to do this, or you get to not do this, or then like, well, do you want to live a week in my shoes? if you think so lucky. But no, yeah, it's interesting. And the spinner wheel, I did try that for a little bit on my car. The knob on the wheel, I did try that. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What is the hardest thing that you've had to do, and how have you persevered?
I think one of the hardest things to have to do, at the top of my head, I think when I first started traveling, like full time, and I kind of started doing that like right after high school. So I didn't really know anything about planes or airports or layovers or hotel check-ins and all that stuff. I didn't really know anything about that. And when I first started to do that, I was just a nervous wreck because I just couldn't think about well, how am I gonna get my boarding passes out? How am I gonna go through security? And how am I gonna buckle myself on the plane? And because buckling myself in the car is fine, I can do that fine. But on a plane, like, how am I gonna do that? And I really worried about all of that. So I think learning how to just do that was really challenging. But it was also one of those things where the more I did it, the easier it got. And now it's second nature, where I can think of times where I've gotten up at 4 a.m. to get on an early flight, and I can't even remember because I'm so tired. It's so early. I can't even remember going through all those motions of boarding plane and going through security, but I did, because I've just been doing it for so long and doing it so much. But at first, it was a huge challenge because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how I was going to do it. And it actually became one of those things where I was doing it for so long, and then my brother had to do it for college, and like a college thing he did, and he wasn't used to it. So he asked me, like, "How did you do this? Like, what do you do?" So I was able to help him, and I think that was really cool.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool too. And it's interesting, you see that, when you try something new, things are very difficult and then it becomes like 1-2. So this has nothing to do with actually my own set of issues and whatever weakness. But when I wear contacts, and the first time I got fitted for contacts, it took me 45 minutes to put one in. Now I put it in like there's no tomorrow. It takes a second, and I can do it without technically a mirror. And that goes without saying with all different types of disabilities or differences and so forth. But it's just interesting. You think of something being so difficult, and then you look at it, and you look at the task, down the line once you've learned how to do it, and you're like, oh wow, like why was that so difficult? Now, like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times, at least for me, what makes certain tasks so challenging isn't the task itself. It's me, thinking that the task is going to be so hard,
Right.
And that's what kind of makes it challenging for me when I realize, like, man, that task actually isn't that hard, And it's just like the fear of it, which plays a big role into how we approach things.
Right, of course.
Right.
So you are a musician. What type of joy does music bring to your life?
Yeah, I've been playing music most of my life, and the way music brings me joy is it's hard to explain, but it's really just on another level because I've been doing it for so long. Mm-hmm. It's always just been kind of embedded into who I am. So for as long as I can remember, I've been playing music. I was always humming and playing songs on the piano when I was little, and then I took cello lessons at the age of 7, and was pretty in these pretty hardcore private music lessons for a while, studying music books and doing all that. And then middle school comes around, and then I want to be cool, so I learned a guitar. I teach myself guitar, and then in high school I start writing songs because high school, you go through so much stuff in high school. So I started writing songs based on that stuff. And it's just always kind of been a huge part of who I am. And that's the best way I can explain it. It's just kind of, a part of my identity. I think my identity is something so much higher, but a part of who I am, and knowing that I was given this gift to play music, that I really do believe it is a gift. I want to be a good vessel of that.
Yeah.
I want to be a good steward.
Right. No, of course. And I think you're a great role model already for playing music, especially for someone who uses their feet as being born without any arms.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think I just want people to know that we all have passions, and music is my passion, and no matter what our passions are, we shouldn't let anything get in the way of us pursuing that.
Yeah. Currently, you have learned how to play, and you play the cello, the piano, and the guitar. Are there any other instruments that you want to learn want to learn how to use in the future or play?
Yeah, I always want to get better at piano because I don't consider myself very good at piano. I just like to make up tunes, and I like to play very basic stuff. I like to get better, but I think another instrument, just completely new instrument, I'd love to learn how to play the drums. I can play a little bit, and just being a musician, I understand like beats and time signatures and just how beats go into a song, and I understand all that. But actually playing the drums with 2 limbs, I have, I have 50% of what everyone else has for being a drummer. So, I mean, I'm very limited there, but I think if I really took the time to learn and just practice and repeat, I think I could get it. I've messed around on drum sets before, and it's always fun because it's just a different world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
And then one thing that's really remarkable and is really cool is when you learned how to play the guitar and were singing, songwriting, and all of that. You played the song by the Goo Goo Dolls, Iris, and the video of you playing it went viral and was seen by the Goo Goo Dolls. And you got the amazing chance to go play with them the song at one of their concerts. So what was that experience like? And like how impressive did you find the experience to be in terms of like who you are as a musician? And yeah.
Yeah. That, so that whole experience and learning to play guitar and really, when I started playing guitar, I immediately fell in love with it, and I just immersed myself in it so much. Where, I mean, unfortunately, I kind of all other instruments aside, so I kind of stopped playing cello for a long time, and I still played piano here and there, but guitar really became my focus, and singing became my focus, and just trying to get better because I really started to begin this dream of like, ooh, like, what if I could do this? Like, what if I could, like, I don't really have any other passions. I like church stuff, and I like youth stuff, and like working with like students and working with teenagers who are going through stuff because I went through stuff. But like music at the center is my passion. So I really wanted to figure out how I could make that dream become a reality. And just another example in my life of things happening way out of my control, way beyond the realm of me making anything happen, because I didn't really do anything. I just did what I love. I just played music.
Of course.
I just played Iris, which is one of my favorite songs ever, and has a great message, I feel. And one thing led to another. A video of me playing Iris blew up, went viral, and the Goo Goo Dolls saw it, and within a month, I was on stage with them in front of 10,000 people, and I'm this 18-year-old kid doing this. And to me, I think it was a big moment in my life and a big turnaround because all throughout my life, I always faced rejection. Being rejected was always a theme in my life. Even back in Romania, or kind of go back to that and being rejected and being in this orphanage. Going through just school, going through middle school and high school, I'm sure, you might understand, and other people who end up watching this can understand. Those years are just tough, and I was rejected a lot in those years, just by different kids and groups of kids, and girls I had crushes on, and whatever it was, just being rejected. And then high school, just more of that, but on a bigger scale because it's high school, and then here I am, like a month after I graduate high school, on this stage, and I'm so nervous because I'm about to play guitar with my feet in front of this big group of people. How are they going to respond? And it was just a whole arena of love. All these phones went up, and people were cheering, and people were just amazed, and they were loving it, and they wanted more. And I think for me, that was a big moment because it was another reminder for me of truth that I'm made for this, that I'm meant for more than my own struggles.
Yeah. No.
So I think that moment was huge for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, it definitely calls for, a standing ovation because it's so impressive, and, it's wonderful to meet somebody like you who had that opportunity and hopefully has more opportunities of that nature in the future. Some of the songs that you play and write are about being different and being accepted for who you are. One of the songs, Misfit, which you will play at the end of this interview, talks about being different and being accepted into society. What specifically with Misfit is the message that you want to convey to others? And, what was the parameters for making the song, including the lyrics and so forth?
Yeah, so Misfit is one of my favorite songs ever, and I have to be honest, I actually didn't write it. Some friends of mine wrote it. So over the past couple of years, I've become close with songwriters in Nashville, and I've traveled to Nashville a number of times and written songs. And this couple in particular, they wrote this song Misfit as a part of a campaign for an organization called the Bully Project. And because I go to a lot of schools. One of my big things that I do for my career is I go to schools. I do assemblies and I give talks to kids, and I basically I just do that a lot. And so they wrote this song, and then they were like, actually, George, you should play this song. This should be your song to play. So they kind of had me embark on this journey of playing this song to schools and everything else because of the message. And the message of this song is that there are so many, kids and students and all of us really who feel like outcasts, who feel so different. A lot of times that can be seen as a bad thing, or we can, think it's bad that we're different, that we're misfits. But the song is kind of a reminder that that it's good. It's a good thing to be different. It's a good thing to be a misfit. And at the end of the day, eventually people want to be like us. People want to be different. They might not admit it, but everyone wants to be different. Everyone wants to stand out, and we do. just kind of. So so I love the song. I love that message and how it's reached so many kids and students all across the country.
Yeah, no, and I'm looking forward to hearing you play it live. It's a great song. I've seen obviously.
Awesome.
Yeah, your YouTube videos and whatnot. So getting into your personal life a little bit, you have a 6-year-old son named Landon. Love that name, Landon.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does he inspire you to be your best self?
Yeah, So I'm a single dad to a 6-year-old named Landon, and being his dad over the last 6 years has been the best journey that I've been on, and the best experience, because being a dad is just such a challenge on its own, and then being a dad without arms is a whole different area, and one that I couldn't prepare for. There are some things that I can get ready for, some things that I can just practice and prepare for before it happens. Being a parent, you just do it. So it still is, and it's a challenge of just doing it and having a good attitude about it because he's watching. And I think that's what's kind of been the most motivational for me with him, is knowing that he's watching how I am. So when he sees me overcome challenges and he sees me, be happy in my own skin, that kind of rubs off on him too. And when he sees me out and about and not take it personally when people look at me weird or say comments, and even when somebody says a mean comment to me, I respond to them in love. I respond to them in patience and kindness because you never know why somebody says the things they do. So I think for him, I hope that it sets him up to be the kind of person that I want to be. He has arms, but I know that he can still inspire people, and he can still have a big heart, because I try to have a big heart.
Of course. And and how, he looks at you as his dad, and you being an amazing dad and whatnot. But have there been instances, and I know he's 6, so he's still fairly young, but have there been instances where, his friends or other people notice that his dad is different? Because clearly you just have, you have no arms, where,
Yeah.
he's had to explain that, and what has been the process like of that?
Yeah, there have been some times where things happen just out in public, and he doesn't understand why, because at least when he was younger, he didn't really understand why. So when he's like 3 or 4, and we're going through a drive-through and getting like a Happy Meal, and the drive-through worker happens to laugh because I have my foot out the window with my credit card or whatever. he doesn't understand why they're laughing. So he's just kind of like looking at them. And I remember one time in particular, this must have been like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. And we went to Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A has like the big playground. And so we were going in the playground, and I was helping him get his shoes off. So I was like, he had the Velcro, so I had my feet, and I was helping him get his shoes off. And this little kid was like laughing and pointing and kind of saying things. And he's a kid. But Landon just didn't understand why the kid was doing this. So Landon kind of walked up to him and just kind of yelled, "It's not funny." and then walked back to me, and the kid walked away.
Yeah.
So Landon's kind of learned to step up for other people who are getting mistreated because he lives with me, and he knows me, and he sees me, so he knows that I'm just a normal person, that I'm a dad, and I'm just a good dad, and I'm not just a guy with no arms, that I'm something so much more. So when somebody only points out the fact that I don't have arms, it affects him, So I think it's a good thing, because it's setting him up to always, just treat everyone the same. And him being around my family and his aunts and uncles who have different disabilities, I don't think he's ever gonna really feel, awkward or mistreat people because they're different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I think, I think even regardless, Landon will always stick up for you. I mean, my mom always sticks up for me, if somebody, which is on the rare occasion, makes fun or, whatnot. And, you find that obviously, give or take, hopefully, your family is, or your family are your biggest supporters, whether it's parents, your wife, or children, so forth.
Yeah.
So you're getting married in a few weeks to your fiance Amanda. Very excited.
Yeah.
What qualities does she have that really drew you to her as obviously a girlfriend at the time, and then now leading to marriage?
Yeah, I think, I know that the main thing that really drew me to her was meeting her for the first time, and just knowing, just without a doubt, that she's a genuine person. Mm-hmm. And that she truly loves the Lord, and she loves people, and not that she's it's not in an unhealthy way, but she's selfless. She's just a very selfless person that's always looking to help people and brighten somebody's day, and that's the way I try to be too. And I think that's one thing that drew us together, was kind of having a similar personality and similar hearts that want to make a difference in the world through our stories, because her story has is one of overcoming too. Right. Her story is one of finding a place to belong and being and getting through her challenges where she shouldn't have made it out of her situations, just like I shouldn't have made it out of my situations. But we've taken our situations and our lives and made it something better and beautiful. That's what really drew me to her and drew us together is we're just real, we're genuine, and we both have passions for kids and adoption and just making a difference.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to adopt kids or have obviously more children of your own with her?
Yeah, we definitely will. That's definitely.
I mean, you guys are still young. I assume Amanda is like fairly young too, so you have a lot of years to figure that out. You don't have to figure that out today.
We're both 26. We're actually her birthday is about 2 weeks after mine.
Okay.
2 or 3 weeks after mine. That's something we both have talked about, and we've covered a lot of those bases kind of leading up to where we are now. One thing that we, even from day one, we're both really honest with each other about just being intentional. We're both people who believe in growing and believe in being real and true and being honest and transparent. And so even just before we started dating, we just wanted to be intentional. Like, okay, this is who we are. This is who I am. This is who you are. We want to be on the same page. No gray area. No sitting on the fence. Just kind of what are our intentions? And and so yeah, adoption and foster care and having our own kids are definitely plans for the future, and kind of see where that leads us. We're not super planners per se.
Right.
I tend to be a lot more just whatever happens, or whenever it happens. I can be go with the flow sometimes to a fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's exciting, and we definitely have that same dream for our family.
For sure. And from what I've seen from your Instagram, she plays a crucial role in Landon's life as well, which is very important.
Yes, yeah, it's amazing to see them connect, and to see the way Landon just loves Amanda, and vice versa too. And in Amanda's world, and in her career and her passion for kids, she just understands children so well. So she's been able to help me because she sees things that sometimes I don't catch on, just with children's psychology and just stuff like that. That she's really boosted me as a parent too, to be even better with Landon. So I just love how well we mesh together and work together.
Amazing. Very cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for you. So lastly, what do you consider to be, your life's greatest blessing?
I think the clear answer would be Landon, definitely. But aside from that, because I'll title that as the obvious choice, Landon and then Amanda. But I think as far as life as a whole, I think the greatest blessing really would be, my ability, but it's not really my ability because it's a gift that I feel like I was given. But to take my situation, to take my disability, which I could have easily used as an excuse to just give up, use it as an excuse to be lazy or to be, down on myself all the time. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not saying that I have it all figured out, or that I'm always the way I am. I have bad days and I struggle still, and I still go through those things because I have dealt with a lot of mental health issues and feelings of worthlessness. And in middle school and high school, I was the kind of kid who was depressed and angry and thought that my life was worthless. But I've come through that, and I've gotten through that and found meaning in all of this. But that's not to say that I don't have it all figured out. For all of us, if we're able to kind of see our struggles and see our challenges as opportunities to grow and to be better and to make a difference and share our own stories to help somebody else, then that domino effect begins to take place and take form. And I think that is one of life's biggest blessings, is seeing the domino effect of people helping other people get through challenges because of the challenges that they've been through, So I think that's just a very cool thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I definitely share that blessing with you.
Yeah.
So without further ado, you can play Misfit, which we're very excited to hear.
Yes. Oh, I'm excited to play it. This is one of my favorite songs. It's called Misfit. It was written by Jason Reeves and Nellie Joy, and the song has such a powerful message to it. And it's a reminder for me that being a misfit, being different, is a good thing, and it's a blessing, and I need to be proud of that. So this is called Misfit. I see you crying like you can't take no more. I know you're hiding, but don't know what you're hiding for. You're like a diamond shining underneath a billion rocks. One of a kind, but That don't mean you're all alone, not even trying. But I think it's beautiful. Been looking for another like you, but they're out of stock. Don't quit doing what you're doing, cause you're different. I know people say that you're a misfit. That's the thing I like about you. Don't listen to all the craziness that they spit in. You know better than to try to fit in. That's the thing I like about you. You're from a futuristic fantasy. The style you're rocking is from another galaxy. Everybody's secretly wishing that they could be like you. You're like an alien. I can pick you out of a crowd inside a stadium. Ain't nobody else walking to the beat you drum, except for me. I'm following you. Don't quit doing what you're doing, cause you're different. I know people say that you're a misfit. That's the thing I like about you. Don't listen to all the craziness that they spit on. You know better than to try to fit in. That's the thing I like about you. Stones and sticks and bullets from lips, no, they're never taking us down. Stones and sticks and bullets from lips, no, they're never taking us down. Don't quit doing what you're doing, cause you're different. I know people say that you're a misfit. That's the thing I like about you. Don't listen to all the craziness that they spit in. You know better than to try to fit in. That's the thing I like about you. Oh, don't quit doing what you're doing, cause you're different. I know people say that you're a misfit. That's the thing I like about you. Don't listen to all the craziness that they spit in. You know better than to try to fit in. That's the thing I like about you. 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 All right.
Bravo. That was so great. I love all your music. I like the other one, which was something about, I forget the name of it, an orphanage.
Yeah, Not Abandoned.
Yeah, Not Abandoned, which I thought was great. I didn't know if that like related as well as Misfit when your dad and I were talking. But it's a great song as well.
Yeah, oh, thank you. Yeah, Not Abandoned is my favorite song that I've written. And yeah, and it's about adoption. It's about being abandoned and left out, but then belonging and finding a place to have as your own and call your home. And that song will actually be releasing. I'll release it as a single here coming up pretty soon. So be on the lookout for that.
That's awesome. I mean, do you want to play it? You can. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'd love to. Absolutely.
Okay, no, that's fine. I definitely wanted Misfit, but I think it's a beautiful song. So if you have another 5 minutes to spare, you can definitely play it if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. So this is a song that I did write, and it's a song again about adoption and I think the idea of an orphan. It pertains to actual orphans in the world who don't have families. But I think at one point or another, we all sometimes can feel like orphans. We can all feel like kind of left alone and kind of neglected and abandoned. But when we find that there's a place for us, like in a community like yours, a community like yours is a place to belong, a place to not feel alone, and to know that there are other people like us who know what we go through. I think a song like this really kind of captures that. So this is called Not Abandoned, and a full recording of the song will be out soon. So it's called Not Abandoned. Every day, every hour, wondering if you'll make it out. You've been here for as long as you can remember, trapped inside this hollow shell. You're not abandoned. You're not alone. There is a family that wants to make you their own. You're gonna find out. On this broken road, there is a pathway that's gonna lead you home, lead you home. You were left in a wasteland with a voice yet to be heard. 10 years later, you're still fighting for a chance just to be loved. Yeah, you're not abandoned. You're not alone. There is a family that wants to make you their own. You're gonna find out. On this broken road, there is a pathway that's gonna lead you home, lead you home. You're not abandoned.
Amazing. Congrats. Well, this was so great, George.